There's no doubt remaining that Starship is the most powerful spacecraft to have been developed, and these boisterous claims by Elon Musk are actually true. With its 6 Raptor engines on the Starship itself and a whopping 33 Raptors on the Super Heavy booster, it's already out-muscling the legendary Saturn V by more than double in terms of thrust. But hold on to your space helmets, because this interstellar beast is about to get an upgrade that'll make it 3 times as mighty as it is now. That's right, SpaceX has let slip some tantalizing tidbits about beefing up both the Starship and Super Heavy with additional engines. In today's rundown, we're diving into just how many more Raptor engines will be hitching a ride on SpaceX's flagship vessel. Will this be the ultimate configuration that SpaceX sticks with for their grand spacefaring adventures? Stay tuned, and we'll explore whether the Starship is ready to go where no rocket has ever gone before, and maybe meet some Vulcans along the way. Flashback to just 1 year ago. SpaceX was knee-deep in tweaks and fixes for Starship post-Flight 1. Fast forward through 3 more flights, and voila! Flight 4 sticks the landing, setting new records and paving the way for even bolder moves. Musk's musings from a few months ago now seem prophetic. If we nail the landing on our virtual tower with the booster, we're going all in on Flight 5 to land it on the actual tower. And in true Musk fashion, he teases us with tweets hinting at a Mechazilla armed showdown straight out of a monster flick. Think Kong vs. Godzilla, but with rockets. So, will Flight 5 see the booster glide back to Starbase for its date with Mechazilla? The stage is set, the players are ready. Let's watch as SpaceX attempts to redefine catch and release in the most epic way possible. Nearly 10 years ago, SpaceX wowed the world with the vertical landing of the Falcon booster, ushering in a new era for space travel. Now, a decade later, they're gearing up to blow our minds once again. This next chapter kicks off with Flight 5, where a massive rocket booster will return to its launch site and be caught midway by the chopstick mechanism. It sounds like something out of a sci-fi movie, but the geniuses at SpaceX have a solid plan in place. As we eagerly await Flight 5, today's episode is all about all the engine and mechanical updates that Elon Musk and his team of wacky scientists are up to running the version of SHIELD or Dexter's laboratory. There's no doubt that the upcoming flight will feature the booster returning to Starbase and being caught by the Mechazilla arm. The goal is clear, but how will it happen? SpaceX has just lifted the curtain on some juicy details in their latest FAA environmental review, and it's all about the engines. The souped-up Starship is set to boast 35 Raptor engines on its Super Heavy booster and another 9 on the upper stage. Zeroing in on these 9 engines upstairs, we're probably looking at a Starship V3. This hunch comes from a snapshot Elon Musk shared back in April, showing off a second stage with, you guessed it, 9 engines. So it's safe to bet that Starship V3, paired with its 35-engine strong Super Heavy booster, is the final form SpaceX has been cooking up. It's been quite the engine roller coaster, with SpaceX's engine count for the Super Heavy booster bouncing from 31 to 35, then to 37, and even flirting with 41. It's like they're playing engine bingo over there. But for now, it seems 35 is the magic number that's got space fans buzzing. In the quest for the perfect thrust, SpaceX, guided by Elon Musk's vision, has settled on a sweet spot of 33 engines for the Super Heavy booster, with room to rev up to 35. These engines aren't just any old engines, they're Raptor 3s, each flexing a whopping 280 tons of thrust. When you do the math, that's a groundbreaking 10,000 tons of power under the hood. This rocket isn't just powerful, it's tall, like scrape the sky tall. Standing at a neck-craning 80.2 meters or 263 feet, it's like stacking a 30-story skyscraper on top of Lady Liberty's torch. Yep, it's officially the heavyweight champion of rocket boosters. But let's not forget the star player perched on this titan, the second stage Starship. It's not just along for the ride, it's a key player in our cosmic conquests. Imagine stretching a tank by 25% to pack in an extra 300 tons of cryogenic liquid oxygen and methane. That's some serious space fuel right there. When it's time to blast off, this upgraded Starship will tip the scales at around 1,600 tons and stretch about 70 meters into the sky. Strap in, space fans, because SpaceX's Starship is about to get a major power-up. With 3 Raptors tuned for sea-level serenades and 6 for the vacuum of space, this beast is expected to belt out a symphony of 2,700 tons of thrust, and that's just for starters. But let's talk size, because in the world of rockets, bigger can mean better. The stretched-out 9-engine Starship is like the stretch limo of spacecraft, and it's set to make a splash in launch performance. According to the space-savvy crowd who crunch numbers for fun, this elongated enigma could sling an extra 50% payload into low Earth orbit. We're talking a hefty jump from 150 to over 200 tons. Sure, beefing up the Starship might add some time and dollars to the development tab, but with a potential payload power-up to 50%, it's like hitting the jackpot on a slot machine if slot machines paid out in space exploration potential. SpaceX's Starship is doing things its own quirky way, much like a hipster at a coffee shop. Instead of slapping on a few massive rocket engines, they've gone with a bunch of smaller ones. Now you might wonder, why go for smaller engines when bigger is usually better? Well, here's the twist. It turns out that dialing down the power on a big rocket engine is about as easy as whispering to a rock. Rocket motors have a minimum thrust level. If you try to reduce it too much, the engine just gives up, like your internet during a crucial Netflix scene. Let's take the Starship for example. This beast weighs in about 100 tons and needs a staggering 1,200 tons of liquid methane and liquid oxygen to get it off the ground. It's like strapping on a rocket-powered fat suit. When launching, these engines need to push a hefty 1,300 tons skyward, but by the time it's coming back to Earth, it's shed almost all that fuel and is as light as a feather in comparison. Picture this. If you have one huge motor that could throttle between 20 and 100%, anything below 20% would stall. So if this motor can launch 1,300 tons, the minimum thrust for landing would be 260 tons. That's like trying to land on your car, but it just keeps jumping back up. Imagine having 4 smaller engines instead, each capable of lifting a quarter of that 1,300 tons. During landing, you could switch off 3 and run 1 at 40% thrust, allowing for a smooth, gentle descent. Even with the Falcon 9's 9 Merlin engines, if you run just 1 at its lowest setting, hovering is impossible. It's like a dramatic Hollywood action sequence, think Mission Impossible, where they have to perform a suicide burn or hover slam, igniting the engines at the last second to land without crashing. The Raptor engines on Starship can throttle down lower than the Merlins, but landing them is still as tricky as Jenga after 3 cups of coffee. So the next time you see a rocket landing, just know it's not just science, it's a little bit of magic and a lot of nail-biting timing. Having a bunch of motors on a rocket isn't just about showing off, it's about safety. If one engine decides to take a break, the others can still keep things from going boom. When you're landing on Mars, which is only 38% of Earth's gravity, or on the Moon, which has just 16%, you need engines that can scale down their thrust even more. SpaceX plans to churn out Starships and super heavy boosters like they're making action figures. We're talking thousands of rockets and tens of thousands of Raptor engines. Thanks to 3D printing, they can mass produce these engines without breaking the bank. Plus, making lots of smaller motors is way easier than making a few gigantic ones. But wait, why didn't anyone think of this before? Actually, they did. The Soviets tried this with the N-1 rocket, which had 30 engines. Unfortunately, it ended in a disaster worthy of a Michael Bay movie. In 1969, the N-1 exploded seconds after liftoff, causing the biggest blast in space history and destroying its launch pad. In contrast, SpaceX has successfully launched Starship 4 times, with 3 flights seeing all 33 engines perform beautifully. This gives them the confidence to add even more engines without worrying about a Soviet-style fireworks show. SpaceX is cranking out Starships at a pace that rivals the golden days of NASA's Apollo missions. From 1967 to 1973, NASA launched 13 Saturn V rockets, 9 of which took crews to the moon. According to insiders, SpaceX has a production line full of these ships like a cosmic car factory. Despite some delays, Elon Musk has delivered on his Starship promises. SpaceX's future and NASA's Artemis moon program are both banking on this colossal rocket success. So, as Musk would say, let's get to Mars and beyond, one Raptor engine at a time. If anyone can turn interplanetary travel into something as routine as your daily commute, it's definitely SpaceX. The future looks more exciting than a new season of House of Dragon, and we're all in for the ride. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more stellar updates. Until next time, see you guys later.